Hello coders, welcome back to Wizartist. Today we're going to learn how to code in basic HTML. So HTML is the markup language for webs using which you can make basic websites. So today we're going to learn the basics of HTML. Now how can we code in HTML? So first of all you need to know the syntax and you should understand the logic. Second thing is that you can use any fancy editors, but they are quite complicated to understand, and if you are a beginner, I advise you to use Notepad. So Notepad is available in almost all Windows desktops, so you can use Notepad. Now how can you use Notepad as an HTML editor? It is very simple. You just have to save it. So I have took a blank Notepad file and now I'm going to save it. So here as you can see that it is going to be saved in the extension .txt, which is a text document, but we wanted to save it in .html because we want it to be an HTML file. So how do we do that? First of all, we should know that we have to put it in double quotes or double inverted commas. Then inside that you can write the file name, which I am going to write as first code. So here I have written the name of the file. Remember to give no space between this full stop and HTML, otherwise it will be saved as a txt file only. Now we're gonna save it. So now if you open it here, you can see that it is a HTML file and it's not a txt file, and then whenever you double click on it, it will be opened in the website and not in Notepad. So here you can see it is completely blank because we haven't coded anything inside it. So let's start coding. Before that, we need to know the basic syntax. Syntax is like the grammar to write any type of coding which is a programming language. So it is the rules and regulations to write a programming language. So for HTML, we are going to learn HTML5, which is the latest version. So we want the computer to know we are writing in HTML5. So we are going to put an exclamation mark, then we're going to write doc type. Then we're going to write HTML. So the doc type should be in all caps, but the HTML shouldn't be in all caps. Then we are going to write simply HTML. So this doctype HTML tells the computer that we are writing in HTML5, and this HTML tells it that we have started writing our code. Now the first syntax that you must know about HTML is that we always start any function in this angular brackets, which is actually greater than and smaller than signs in mathematics, and here we write the name of the function. And almost all the functions are ended by writing this. So this is a slash and we write the same name. Remember to write the exact same name with the same case. The same case should be used. It shouldn't be like capital N and here you are writing the small n, which this will throw an error. Okay, and in here you write whatever you want, blah blah blah, anything. Okay, so here as we started this HTML tag, we are going to end it also. Now inside this HTML tag there are basically two sub tags, which is head and body. So whatever is written inside this body will be showed over here in our website, and whatever is written beneath the head, it is something that we can call like, it won't be shown but it will have an impact on our website. So we will just end all these because we have to end the tag. Okay, so now as you can see here, at the top it's written first code.html, but I want something else to be written here. So how can I change this? Because first code.html is the name of our file, but I want something else to be written. For example, I want my name to be written over there, or we can write coding, HTML coding. So how do we do that? For this there is this title tag. So in whatever you write inside the title tag will be displayed over here. So I'm going to write HTML coding. Now I'm going to end the title tag because we have to end all the tags. There are a few exceptions which I will tell you ahead. So you can see here this doc type HTML is one of those exceptions because we do not end it. It is just something that tells that we are writing in HTML5. Now if I refresh it, you can see it's written HTML coding. So one important note is that you always have to save it. Okay, so Control S and you have to save it. Otherwise, if you refresh it, then also it will not show you. Here I have done with the head. Now I want to write few things over here. So let's see what do I will write. So I want to write basic text over here, something. So I'm going to use P for that. P means paragraph. So I'm going to write it in the angular brackets as we have learned in the syntax, and I'm going to end it. So if you use the fancy editors, it will end it for you. But as you're using Notepad, we will have to do the manual work. Now I'm going to write some lorem ipsum text, which is basically dummy text, or in other words you can see it as gibberish. Then I'm going to refresh it. So you can see that this is written. It's simple, it's just like a normal paragraph. Okay, but always whenever we open a website, we can see that there is a heading. Now I also want to give a heading. So I am going to use this H1 tag. So here H means heading and 1 means the first heading, which is the biggest heading. So I'm going to write heading over here. I'm going to end this. And once I refresh it, you can see that heading is written. Wow! And it is quite bigger, just like a heading. There are many more headings. It's H2 is also there, H3, H4, H5 and H6. So as the number increases, the size of the heading decreases. So for example, let's take the example of H2. If I write here something like, I'll say hello world. And if I end this H2 and refresh it, you can see that this is smaller than the basic heading, but it is bold and bigger than the paragraph. Now we want to give some effects. I want this to be red and this to be blue. How do we do that? There are two ways in which we can do. The first way is here. So in the starting tag, you just have to write style equals to, in double inverted commas, you can write color, give a colon, and then you can write the color. I'll write red, and then you have to give a semicolon. And if I refresh it, you can see that there is this heading in red. Now hello world, I want it to be written in blue, so I'll write it. Color is blue. So HTML knows a few basic colors like blue, red, yellow, white, pink. But if you want some complex colors, you can go to color picker. If you search for color picker on Google, you get this, and from here you can select various colors. So suppose I want a different shade of blue which is not known by HTML, I can copy this hex code. So hex code is actually a unique identity for a particular color, and you can just, instead of writing blue, you can paste the hex code. Now I refresh it and I can see exactly the same color that is displayed there. But I think I'll stick to my dark blue, and it looks good. Okay, so now when we create complex websites, there is a lot of formatting done, and it can become really confusing if we write it over here. So HTML has a solution for you. Inside the head tag, we are going to create another sub tag which is style. So style is CSS. Now CSS is a sub language inside HTML which gives formatting styles. So this style is also CSS, but it is HTML CSS because we write it inside the body tag. But if we write it inside the style tag, it will become CSS. So the syntax is very simple. You have to start and close the style tag, and inside it you basically have to write h1, and then you have to give curly brackets. Now inside the curly brackets you have to write this color colon. So here color means what formatting you want. Here you're going to write the parameter, which is going to be a color over here, and then you're going to give a semicolon. Once I refresh it, it's showing the same, and even if I delete it from here, it will remain red. Now I can change the color, like I can yellow. So it becomes yellow. Nice, isn't it? Great. Now, but here a problem comes. If I use another h1 and I write something else, heading 2, then it gives the same thing as this. But I want heading to be in red. How do I do that? There is a simple way, by giving it a name. Like we all have our own names which other people used to refer to us. So same way we can give a name to this h1s, through which we can refer to them in the style or script. Script is JavaScript. So here I will write class, which is name, which means name, and in the double inverted commas I'm going to write the name that I want to give them. Suppose I want to give them head 2. Okay, so now this is case sensitive, so you have to write exactly the same case and do not mess up with it. And I'm going to put color as red. But as you can see, it's still in yellow. Why? Because it is a h1. It is a h1, and h1 is defined to be in yellow. So I can give a class to this also. Class equals to head. And I can put head. But still it won't change, it's giving an error. Why? Because this is a class, it's not a tag. If it is a tag, we can simply write h1 or h2 or whatever. But if it is a class, we have to put a dot. So when we use a dot, the HTML will know to find a class with the same name. Okay, if now there is another way, you can even use ID. ID means identity. So but for ID we are not going to use dot, we are going to use hashtag. So let's try out. It gives us what we want. But now if I use ID for this and I use dot, it will change it to black because we are using the wrong syntax. So I have to use a hashtag if I'm using an ID. So I usually use class for CSS. But it is preferred if you're using complex code, like even if you're going to learn JavaScript and other things, complex code, you should define both class and ID, and both should have separate names so that the code, the computer doesn't get confused, and also we don't get confused. Okay, so now you can see that this is yellow and it's not quite easily seen in this white background. So I want to change the background to some other color. So how do I do that? Simply in this body tag, I can write style equals to, in double quotes, I can write ground color. So now if there are two names for the attribute, two words in the attribute, we are going to separate it by a hyphen and not give a space, because it will throw an error then. Background color, I can give it any background color, like here I'm gonna give it pink. Now if I refresh it, you can see that it is pink. Yeah, so this is how you can change. You can even use the color picker to give various colors. So this is the basic HTML that we're going to learn today. There is much more in HTML, like you can add images, you can add some blocks, you can even use JavaScript to make moving and animations and much more. So this is it for today. Thank you. Bye. Hope you understood everything. If you have any doubt, you can ask it in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to give thumbs up and subscribe my channel.